At least once a year, every single year since I was a child, water communion has splashed onto the calendar with the reminder, since I became a minister, of water's 1,000 possibilities for metaphor and simile and allegory. We talk about water as a nourisher of life, a raging element, a rushing river. We say still waters run deep, and don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. We say, here we go, inspiration dries up, right? And so does funding and passion. Why, you may have heard single folks or even people in long-distance relationships say they're in a drought. We talk about how even a drop in the bucket is better than no drop at all, and the ways that water shapes its environment and is shaped by it. On Water Communion Sunday, we love to talk about the many ways in which water comes together, a trickle, a stream, a river, strengthening as the drops merge, becoming something greater than the sum of its parts. Sometimes we look into the water, maybe a puddle, and we see our own reflection, ourselves, reflected in the mirror of the sky. There's something fascinating about reflections. They draw us in. They're interesting. Our eyes are drawn to the perfect mimicry of ourselves, and we are also attracted to those wavy, wavering edges, the ripples that smooth and disperse our reflections and change how we look. And we're shown different ways of how to be when we look into different mirrors. We see ourselves reflected not only in our own mirror, but in the faces of those around us, or we try to. Sometimes I think we look and don't see ourselves at all, and that can hurt. A young man that I know said the hardest thing about growing up gay for him was the immense silence of his family and community around being gay. It's not that people were mean about gayness, it's that he could look and look into the faces around him at the dinner table, in the pews of the church where his father preached, the people in his classrooms, the books and television and movie he consumed, and he never could see himself there at all. He was missing, and it felt like a part had been erased. Sometimes we look into faces with which we vehemently disagree, faces we dislike, faces we might even hate. And if we have a little humility, or sometimes we're just slapped with a little reality, we can recoil and reel back with a shock when we see our own selves reflected back at us. The first time that I was confronted with my own internalized racism, and I really felt it and understood what I had experienced and what I had perpetuated, it left a searing shame. And that still makes that memory, nearly 40 years old, powerful. I looked into a face that looked back and said, "You can do better." Sometimes we look into the mirror of family and culture and we see our own best selves there, magnified and made beautiful. Our courage and our curiosity are suddenly right there. We're seeing them clear and close. We gaze into the face of another and see an image that is foreign but perhaps attainable. If they can do it, we think, well, maybe I can too. Unitarian theologian Theodore Parker, my dead UU boyfriend. Sorry, I will say that every single time I talk about Theodore Parker. He taught that the power of Jesus' example is not in his divinity, but his humanity. If Jesus was a human like us, his rebellion and struggle have power. We can see ourselves working to heal the wounded, to challenge injustice, to break bread in peace with those who are both like us and other. We see that same possibility reflected back at us in faces that are more modern: Rosa Parks, Mahatma Gandhi, Harvey Milk, many other prophetic voices and people whose images we examine and encounter in our search to work for justice, to transform lives, to see ourselves better. We are water, people, We are water, and we're stronger together than we are alone. We have the power to nourish, and we also have the power to destroy. We are the shapers of our environment. I love my air-conditioned cocoon. And we are also inevitably shaped by the world in return. Even as we enjoy our air conditioning, we live in an area that sees drought coming. We are also in the image of the water, the reflection of what might be. We see sorrow and joy, beauty and ugliness reflected back at us in every face in the mirror, in every puddle we encounter. And it is up to us to decide what to do with those images, how to respond to them, and how to shape the reflections that others will see when they look back at us. Amen.